Today we're learning from Chok L'Yisrael, the Gemarah, for Wednesday, Parashat Vayishlach. Achovel b'chavero chayav alav mishum chamisha devarim. The Gemarah here from Masechet Baba Kama teaches when a person injures his fellow man, he has an obligation to pay for 5 items. Benezek, first is nezek, which means depreciation, the damage that he caused. Betza'ar, the pain that he caused. Beripui, the healing, medical expenses. Beshevet, lost time of work. Uboshet, an embarrassment or degradation. These are the 5 things that a person becomes liable when he injures another person. And he's going to explain, the Gemarah explains. Benezek ketzad, how do you pay for nezek, for damage or depreciation? Sima et eno, kata et yado, if he blinded an eye, or he cut off his arm, or shibe et aro, he broke the person's leg. Ro'im oto keilu oved nimkar bashuk, we see it as if he was a person sold as a slave in the marketplace. V'shamin kama yafe v'chama yafe, and we evaluate how much that person was worth before and how much is he worth now. Since a person, a servant with a broken leg, would not fetch as much as a person who's totally healthy, then that servant with a broken leg will be worth, let's say, X dollars less than a person who's totally healthy without a broken leg. And that difference is what you pay for the nezik. Tsa'ar, how do you evaluate pain? And he explains here in the Gemarah, Keva'o b'shipud b'masmer, if he burnt him with a skewer or with a nail, va'afilu al tziporno, let's say he took a very hot, red hot skewer or metal, and he burnt him, he says here, even if he burnt him on his fingernail, makom shen oseh chabura, a place that doesn't leave a scar. Still, we evaluate omdim kama adam kayotze bazer rotze litol liot mitzta'er kach. We evaluate how much a person would be willing to accept as payment for going through that suffering. In other words, if that pain is worth $300, a person would be willing to accept $300 to experience that kind of pain, which is like being burnt with, let's say, with a skewer, just as an example, and that's the amount. If the pain was greater, he would want much more money to be willing to experience that pain, and that's how much is paid also. Ripui. What is ripui? Healing. If he injured him, he has the obligation to pay for the medical expenses to heal him. Alubot smachim. What if there were sores or there was an infection? If those sores, that infection happened because of the injury, Chayav is obligated to pay for the treatment of those as well. If it was not on the basis because of the injury, but let's say a person was negligent in taking care of his injury, or there was another factor that got involved, then he's not obligated to pay for that because he didn't cause it directly. What if the injury, the wound became healed and then reopened? Healed and then reopened. Sometimes it cannot heal immediately. It goes through a kind of a cycle of becoming better and then worse, better and worse. He's still obligated to pay for all those expenses. But if he was healed totally, completely, and then something happened later, then he's not obligated to pay for those expenses. Shevet, what about lost wages? Then we pay him for the amount of money that he can be paid as a minimal wage, like if he was watching over cucumbers, let's say, in a field. Because the damage for his leg or for his eye, we paid him already as part of the idea of the depreciation, how much he was worth less after the injury. Boshet, embarrassment or degradation. Hakol lefi ha'mevayesh ve'hamitbayesh. It's all according to the person who embarrassed or the person who became embarrassed. So a very important person who embarrasses a person that is not so important in terms of his social stature, the payment would be, let's say, because it's more important, the person who embarrassed will be greater than if somebody was not so important. And also the other side, Amit Bayesh, if a person is a very important person in terms of social stature, let's say, and the injury caused him embarrassment, it would be greater than a person who was not so important. We evaluate according to the situation and how much embarrassment there was. I gave an example earlier. I knew someone who was working as a construction worker, and his hands were full of injuries just because of the type of work that he did. So if somebody like that will get a scratch on his hand caused by another person, it wouldn't be so embarrassing because he already has many scratches. On the other hand, if he was a pianist who was very careful with his fingers, and maybe people pay attention to what his hands look like, even a small little scratch might cause embarrassment, and that would be something that the payment for it would be greater than in other situations. So we do have, in injury, there are 5 payments: nezek, which is depreciation; tza'ah, which is pain; ripui, which is the medical expenses; shevet, lost wages; and the busha, which is the embarrassment that the person would have caused. This was from the Gemarah for today in Chok Israel, for Wednesday, Parashat Vayishlach. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.